We've argued what is the most important position in baseball defensively. We've argued Speedy thought it was center field. Then I've argued it was shortstop. And then we look at the catching position and how important the catching position is when it comes to pitching and calling defensive roles during the game. And when there was shifting, who do you think was calling it? The managers were telling the catchers, and the catchers were throwing up, signs on where they should be standing. What are your thoughts? I mean, it's a good question. What do you believe? You're a professional big league player, a former professional big league player. What position is the most important position when it comes defensively in baseball?
So those three positions are what you build a team off of. The middle of your field is how you build a team. You have to have a catcher, shortstop, and a center fielder. Those three run your team. Now, as far as shifting and pitching and all that stuff, those three work together to position the rest of the team for the most part. So I can't say that any of the three is more important than one of the others, just because of the fact that I know that we all work together on defensive, placement or pitching or what we're seeing in swings and stuff like that. And that can be said short, and second can be said the same way, as far as second can be the leader of an infield as well. But I would say originally shortstop.
See, Speedy?
With the new shifts, no.
Well, now I thought you were complimenting me, and then you threw it off. No.
I was born and raised a shortstop and played short in the big leagues, and I think it's the toughest position to play. When the big shifts started coming through and they started playing a lot of offensive people in defensive first places, I think it took a lot away from those defensive positions or the leadership, because they were just putting bats there sometimes.
You know what's so funny about that is you said catching, shortstop, and center fielder. The center fielder are the three positions you build your team around, and the Yankees don't have any of them. So that's probably why the Yankees stink right now.
You're saying Aaron Hicks wasn't a worthy center fielder?
I'm talking about now. Look at what the Yankees have right now. Who's their catcher right now?
That shortstop's gonna be a good.
Volpe will be good, but right now, let's be honest. I mean,
if you're just looking at numbers, right? But I mean, he's 21.
Yeah, he's a baby.
Years old.
Anthony Volpe is gonna be
He's gonna be a really good ball player, and I feel like he takes a good leadership role, and he conducts himself that way. And for me, watching a young guy, if I can see a young player that wants to kind of not necessarily be taking control by yelling or anything, but has that confidence and that leadership quality about him, for me, that's pretty special, because you just don't have those guys that show up every year.
Well, Derek Jeter was one of them. So
yeah, and look how hard it's been to replace him.
I have to ask you now, because you're sporting that very nice beard, and I saw a picture of you from towards the end of your Nationals career with the mustache.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, who besides yourself, who would you say is the best mustache and the best big beard that you've seen in baseball?
I've got one.
I don't know, guy. You go first. I have to think about this.
Jayson Werth.
Oh yeah.
Remember that beard? I know you know Jayson Werth. I know you know who he is.
Very good friend of mine, and I don't know why I didn't think about that. But yeah. Jayson had as good a beard as anybody.
Boy, did he ever. He could have been Santa Claus at one point, man.
Oh,
that big.
He got a good one.
He was twisting. He was putting like all these different. I mean, I remember I was like, man.
He was probably chewing on it.
Yeah, you look like a bum on the street. I was like, what? I didn't even know it was Jayson Werth. And then somebody said, who the hell is that? He says, that's Jayson Werth. I don't
think it's long like that anymore. He keeps it real tight now.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. But in baseball, he wanted to really stand out, and boy, oh boy, did that beard stand out.
That guy was a intimidating guy to play against, and I'm glad I got to play with him for 7 years. But boy, that's a big boy right there. You're talking 6'6", 230, 240. People forget how big that guy was. Did some damage while he was playing.
He had a very interesting swing too. The way he stood and the way he swung it didn't look like it was a power swing, but because he had so much force and so much size,
he has so much ground force and so much leverage. He just touched balls and they just launch. I mean, very minimal movement, just a very strong guy.